Uniservitate y la Universidad Católica Portuguesa te invitamos a participar del segundo Simposio Global Uniservitate. Aprendizaje, servicio, educación integral.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. The internet joke here, they're telling me that I look like a CNN spokesman. I'm going to ask to be transferred to the CNN, but I don't want that. I want to stay at CLIES. So if you support me, I will stay here as the commentator for CLIES. So welcome to the closing of this 24th International Conference on Service Learning. We are very, very happy that you've been with us throughout these 3 days. Throughout the week, actually, because we had the International Week. We started on Tuesday with the meeting of the Ibero-American Network, Wednesday morning with the art meeting, the arts in service learning, and then with this 24th International Conference, the second that we hold fully online with all the technical difficulties that despite all the rehearsals, well, we've had some technical issues, but we are only receiving signs of affection, and everybody is telling us that they really liked it and they've enjoyed this seminar. So it's the time for closing now. We've had over 50 panelists and speakers from the 5 continents throughout these 3 days. When you looked at the agenda, it was amazing, even for us that we've been doing this for many, many years, but we're really amazed at the agenda we've managed uh, to make as to experiences and voices and opinions and contributions. So we're very, very happy. I would just like to start by thanking all the panelists, all the speakers. If you don't know, this seminar is for free. Everybody can watch it. And these almost 50 presentations were also free, and they devoted their time to prepare the presentations. Sometimes they had to do some pre-recordings and technical tests. So believe me that all of them have dedicated more than what you've seen to this presentation. So my appreciation to all of them. Without them, this would not have been possible. Without our partners, our donors that support us, this would not be possible. And reaching so many people is possible with our networks, with our partners that are here with us. So my thanks to all of them. And all this is possible because there's a technical team behind, because there are interpreters. We had interpreters all the time into English and into Portuguese. So a big hug to the interpreters that have been working these days continuously, making everything perfect. And on my behalf, I would like to thank all the team at CLIES personally, particularly the team at CLIES that worked on this seminar, head by Agustina Camaño. She's done a huge effort. She's been in every detail, but all the team, communications, administration, all those that have been involved, a lot of people. And when we were in face-to-face meetings, we always asked all of them to come on stage, and everybody gave us a round of applause. It was a very nice moment. Now, it's not so easy. So as a way of seeing them all together, I will ask some of the leaders and the coordinators of the programs at CLIES to say a few words. I'm going to introduce those that are here with me. Lucila Leis, she's the president of the Civil Association that is in our office in Montevideo, Uruguay. Alejandro Jimeli, Luz Abruj, Maria Rosa Tapia, and our dear Nieves Tapia. So the 6 of us will be here for this closing so as we can show our appreciation and we can share some time together. So here we just had to say very brief words to express what you thought about this seminar for all of us at the CLIES team. So we'll pass the floor first to Lula, Lucila Leis, our dear Lula, the president of the Center of Uruguay, the civil association that supports CLIES in Uruguay. So the floor is yours, Lula.
Thank you, Kike. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you. Once again, I'm very pleased to be part of this group with the ones that have been here for so long. You talked about 2 or 3 words, but I think that I'm going to use more than 3 words because I also need to bring back some memories, things that have always moved me around along the process. Once again, we are here gathered at the 24th International Conference, fulfilling one of the objectives that we always put into our agenda to make sure that this is not just wishful thinking. Of course, every year we add uh, bibliographic experiences. We also add new proposals and service learning projects, but there is always one that is always present, and that is the objective of celebrating the continuity of these conferences as part of an innovative pedagogical movement that brings benefits to students and teachers. See our growth. We still have a stable number of participants, the usual followers, those that are in-house, but every conference we add more and more participants from a lot of countries, not only from Argentina. And we need to celebrate this. And this is how we meet our goal. The agenda, the program, the star of this conference on a daily basis. In previous years, that was the only dissemination tool we had to disseminate information about the conference, but now we have the social media. In the past, it was by word of mouth, by email, by phone that we could promote and publicize our activity. Now we look at YouTube and we see participants from all over the world, and we can clearly identify them all. So we also need to celebrate this. Before closing a panel, we used to distribute sheets of paper to participants for them to write their questions to the members of the panel. We would combine them according to their themes, but now participants can send their questions through different media so that Professor Nieves Tapia can now incorporate them into her presentations and respond those questions at the end of her presentation. I remember those days when we had face-to-face conferences, the number of participants that would approach us during the breaks in the corridors to tell us the emotions they felt because they were able to participate, that they have learned a lot. This is an excellent organization, a wonderful team. It exceeded my expectations. Congratulations. Now, in this virtual world, we can receive through the chat in Zoom and in YouTube an endless number of comments, congratulations, and we also need to celebrate that. It is very important to remember everything that is being said through social media among us as a team when we prepare a new conference, because this instills us with more commitment to show professionalism, motivation, and joy. The path, the itinerary of a service learning project comes to the final stage, that is the closure, when there is a celebration. All of us participating in this conference need to celebrate the fact that we were able to participate in all the different spaces in this conference. We need to celebrate the learning, the gathering, the fact that we have been able to listen to motivating and inspiring panelists, to teachers, authorities, and students that have shown their innovative projects with more solidarity than ever before and a renewed commitment towards the community. Finally, great professional service learning promoter, Daniela Gargantini, some years ago started her presentation saying, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. When I received the invitation, it happened to me the same that a few weeks ago. I received the invitation to the 10th meeting of social responsibility in our university. It is the 17th conference. 17 years have gone by. And we could feel sad about it, or we could get depressed. But the truth is that the feeling that I have is that if part of our life was spent here this is a reason to celebrate and to thank, because when we get together in these conferences, we ratify that there are many crazy people like us that believe that this is possible, that this is not just an institutional project, that these are lifelong projects, and we are always stronger after this participation. Congratulations to you all. And let me say that we'll see one another next year in the conference number 25. We are going to celebrate our 25th anniversary. It would be the silver anniversary if this were a marriage. So I hug you virtually and I will see you next year. I don't know if it will be online or in face-to-face. Greetings to you all.
Beautiful words, Lule. Well, it's good to know you're going to be here next year. You will be part of the team. So it's very, very nice because, many times perhaps you're announcing your retirement, but here you have assumed a commitment to be with us next year with us. Thank you, Lula. Now I'm going to pass the floor to Luz Abruj. She is the coordinator of institutional affairs and networks at CLISE, and she's been for many years now conducting the program in Eastern and Central Europe. Luz, the floor is yours. I mean, your contribution doesn't matter how long it is. Thank you. What I wanted to share is along the line of what Lucila was just saying. I was shocked this morning when I heard Carlos March saying social transformation is not an event, it's a process. It's about the ability to sustain those processes in time. And it has to do a lot with what Lucila was just saying, that all of us here and those of us who were here these 3 days and those that every day make it possible for this to happen and for this to grow and have more teachers and more students and community partners promoting this and more media showing it and more ministers of education engaged with these ideas, we are the ones that are making this possible, and we generate transformation. Yesterday, Juan Esteban Belderrain said those that were taking the Bastille did not imagine that 200 or 300 years later, we would still be talking about them. And I was shocked by that image because it's this anti-frailty that we are building, as Jorge San Martin mentioned in the first day in the opening, these features of anti-frailty that we help build in our students, in our institutions, this removing this immunity to changes, as Juan Esteban Bellarrain said, this is what we are already doing. And I think that these spaces for being aware of the fact that we are doing it, of being aware when we're doing more of one thing and than of the other and looking for partners to strengthen that, that makes us a true movement. And we can read messages in the chat from India, Kenya, Singapore, and Bolivia, Peru. And I'm in the living room in my house and I'm generating social changes. I'm transforming the society that I want for me, for my children, for my country, and for my world. And I think we should all be proud of that and keep pushing forward and keep learning collectively. So those are my reflections and my food for thought. Thank you all for being here, for joining. We'll see you again next year. And of course, throughout the rest of the year, we'll keep building together.
Thank you, Luz, for your kind words. Now I'll give the floor to Alejandro Jimeli, who provides support to institutions. In CLISE, we have several programs that require institutional support. So he is also a historical character in our team. Thank you, Kike. Actually, my comments are influenced by a very special circumstance. My eldest son, who is now quite tall, is celebrating his 21st birthday. When I think about him and all the young people that I meet, in the school or in the street, I always wish that they can turn into strong character and with high convictions people. During these 3 days, we learned different ways in which a school, a kindergarten school, a university can change the world around it. So for those of you watching us, I wish you that we can take back our role as educators and educate people who want to be different and also to do things in order to make changes. Greetings to you all, and I hope to see you next year in the 25th conference.
Thank you, Ale. Thank you so much. Always the invitation for next year, but we have other things in between. So we'll let you know about that. So you don't think that you're not going to see us for a year. Now, Maria Rosa Tapia, she's also historical at CLAIS, and for a couple of years now, she's been coordinating a huge challenge we have that is coordinating the Uniservitate program for promotion of service learning in Catholic higher education. So, Maria Rosa, the floor is yours. Thank you, Kike. Yeah, I'm so excited as everybody to reach the end of the 24th conference. That is also my 24th seminar and conference, because I can proudly say that I've been with Nieves from the first one. And the truth is that it's impossible not to go backwards and see all the things that have happened to us in these 24 years. And it was very nice to see at the conference how throughout these years, many of our children were born, they grew, some of them are with us now, and it was very nice to see among the speakers in the conference that they could also share their family histories related to service learning. I can't but remember those that left us in these years that taught us so much about service learning, and some of those that also left us due to COVID before their time and leaving behind a strong legacy. I would also like to highlight the community of global learning that we are generating, because although our name, CLAIS, says Latin American Center, the truth is that today it's beautiful to share the meetings with people from all over the world and keep learning from each and every one of them to keep building this pedagogical proposal that is so powerful, service learning. And I think that precisely the pandemic has revealed what Carlos March mentioned, how the classrooms have turned into the cities and the walls of the schools had been overwhelmed by service learning. And it's paradoxical that when schools closed because of the pandemic, service learning became stronger. And that reveals the genuine engagement with the community and with what Luz just mentioned, that so clearly Jorge San Martin expressed at the beginning, this anti-frailty. And he also said that, as Eduardo Galeano said, we managed that beyond all problems, we became those little sparks and fires that you cannot look at without blinking, and they are felt when you're close by. And beyond the closed doors of the schools, beyond the distances, I think that we've been able to consolidate this dream of transmitting hope through service learning. So thank you so much to all those that allowed us to learn so much from the experiences that they carried out.
Thank you, Maria Rosa, for your remarks and for joining us. Now I'll give the floor to Nieves, the founder and director of CLAIS, for her closing remarks of this conference. Not a formal closure anyway. I think you are muted, Nieves. I was coughing. I'm sorry. That is why I hadn't turned on my mic. Apologies for that. But we are here in context of friendship and informality. The team has already said everything that I was planning to say, but let me go back to this idea of frailty and anti-frailty. But Juan said that with the pandemic, we had to look at the frailty of humankind. And I think that this is something that we had to admit, that we are fragile, that we are frail. And as Jorge San Martin said, those who are anti-fragility or anti-frailty, who do not deny our own limitations, but in the middle of this fall down, we try to go back on our feet as soon as possible and to come up again. And in addition to what Kike said, let me first say thank you. Thanks to all of you who have shared your experiences here in this conference. You are the tip of the iceberg that show what is happening all over the world. Things that do not hit the headlines, that are not seen on CNN or on the big news shows, but we know that this is part of the real world. We know that it is so true, just like the world of big disasters that overwhelm us with sad news. I also want to thank everyone that Kike thanked, as well as the panelists that would have joined us, Maria Inés Bollman, director of the Teachers Training Institute of Argentina, who would have joined us today. Last night, she started having some COVID-19 symptoms. That is why she was unable to join us today. So just our support and a hug to Maria Inés. She has been for many years promoting the incorporation of service learning into different education institutions in order to teach also the service part of this process, especially those who have more difficulties in their institutions. Thank you, Maria Inés, and all the panelists. In the second place, with this idea of frailty and anti-frailty, I want to go back to Mariana Macho's comments in the panel. At the beginning of the pandemic, she was consulted by all kinds of institutions, and she said that during the pandemic, people focus on the difficulties, on the inabilities, on the barriers established by the pandemic, on the depression of youth and children. And of course, these are realities that have been with us over the last few months. But Mariana also said that service-oriented teachers and students did not focus on difficulties. They don't sit there just regretting all these difficulties. Almost immediately, they went out to do something concrete. The students were offered the opportunity to do something for the community, to put their knowledge to the service of their communities. And all the students that we saw over the last few days were not depressed at all. On the contrary, they filled us with a lot of energy and a lot of hope. And the word hope is the last one that I want to mention here, because as we said on the first day, we do not have too many expectations, or we do not try to imagine or to guess when we are going to travel again, but we do know that we are hopeful. We do have hope. More than 2,000 years ago, a Jewish fisher who had followed a rabbi called Jesus wrote to a group of Jews in the diaspora and would tell them, be always ready to respond to all the requests that are made to you because there is a reason for hope. And this idea of having a reason for hope is something that has been on my mind over the last few days quite strongly, because the reason for hope is not just a silly reason. This conference has provided us with a lot of reasons for hope, because it showed us that it is possible to continue educating during the pandemic. It is also possible to have a high quality inclusive education, because this is something that we have been doing. We know that we can offer our children and young students and young adults their space for civic engagement and participation even during a pandemic, because we have been working there. We know that it is possible not to give up and to continue working to build a fairer and more caring world, because that is what we are doing. We have concrete facts, we have projects. I loved this idea raised by one of the speakers who said, these are school projects, these are institutional projects, but these are also life projects. And it is in these projects where we find the reason to have hope. Some of us have hope because we have religious beliefs, others because of human reasons. But what brings us together in this conference is the hope based on the facts that we are producing together with our students. So thank you so much to all of you who participated here, because you are the reason for us to have hope. Let's continue working, and we don't have to wait 1 year until we see one another again, because we have some other invitations to extend to you.
Exactly. As you said, as we keep trusting in this tribe, as we think about as this movement of people that practice service learning. And I always say that when they ask me, how can I be part of CLICE? Well, it's important to be a part of service learning movement beyond CLICE. Sometimes we're an instrument or a tool. So to close, well, there are two large events in the second half of the year, and I'd like to invite you. One is the meeting of the Taluar Network. I will share my screen to make that announcement. It's an event that I'm sure it will be of your interest. The network of engaged universities to be held on September 30th to October the 3rd. Basically, it's about higher education, but it has to do with social engagement, civic engagement, and service learning. As this is a conference that has a registration fee, we are implementing a system of grants. CLICE is going to offer some partial and full grant for these engaged universities. So teachers, directors of higher education institutions that carry out service learning projects and would like to share these experiences there, well, you have a link there for questions and you can contact us. And in September, we will be selecting some experiences. That's the first announcement. The second announcement, and there's a video and everything, is the invitation to the Unisavitate Symposium. That's the other big event we're going to have in the second half of the year. So then we're going to share a video about that. And this is added to the invitations that we've been sharing in the videos. You've seen some videos in between the sessions where we invited you to visit our webpage, to read our publications, to download them for free, to subscribe to our social media, the YouTube channels, and there you can find lots of dissemination and training tools. And we invite you to our online courses that are starting now. We have a wide variety of courses every semester. They are virtual and you can register for that. So the art competition, I mean, there are lots of activities that we have scheduled for the rest of the year. And of course, I invite you again for August next year to meet again in the Silva edition of this conference. And there we will be seeing you all again. We will be very happy to see you again. So let's close. Am I forgetting anything? The truth is that all this, what we are doing, we do it because there are people that are very generous institutions that help us. But it's also true, as Juan Gar mentioned at the Solidarity Network in Argentina, sometimes better than depending on large donors, is better to ask a lot of people for just $1. And all this seminar, this conference is possible for free because right now we have the donors to do that. But if each of us, based on our possibilities, click on that link that we are sharing now in the web page and how to contribute. And if you contribute whatever you can, what you would have spent in a coffee, for instance, if you had come to this conference face to face, everything helps. And we can keep working with schools, and we can keep supporting schools in vulnerable areas. We can keep offering uh, events like this for free because we have the support of many people. So we each know how much we can contribute, so we invite you to collaborate. And for the Silva edition, I already have my Silva in my hair. So, and well, a final comment. The closing of the first seminar was done in a classroom, in a school. And we were all, I mean, we could all fit in that room because we were about 40 people for the closing. And the truth is that, as Kike said, sometimes we themselves cannot believe how much we have grown. From Latin America, we send our greetings to all our colleagues from service learning in the 5 continents, and we invite you all, whether or not you are from universities, whether or not you are from Catholic or private universities, higher education institutions of all kinds, we invite you to meet us again at the second Uniservitate Symposium in late October. So now we'll share this video and we say goodbye until the next conference. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Uniservitate y la Universidad Católica Portuguesa te invitamos a participar del segundo Simposio Global Uniservitate. Aprendizaje, servicio, educación integral, espiritualidad transformadora. Con la participación de representantes de 26 países de los 5
from 26 countries and 5 continents, from more than 30 universities and experts at the global level. The second edition of the Uniservitate Symposium aimed at educational authorities, researchers, faculty, and university students represents a great opportunity to share with experts experiences and ideas to contribute to service learning and its incorporation into the mission and vision of higher education institutions and students as change makers. In response to the global compact on education and the Pope's request, we invite you to put your heads, hearts, and hands into education proposals that allow us to face up to the challenges of modern times. We invite you to participate on October the 20th and 29th in this symposium in order to contribute to the global polyhedral community. You can register for free in uniservitate.org.